Have you ever seen a mother slap her own daughter in front of an entire wedding crowd? Not just a small family dinner. Not some private argument behind closed doors. I'm talking about a luxury wedding in Boston. Crystal chandeliers. Expensive champagne. Nearly 200 guests watching every second. Judges. Lawyers. Rich families. People who cared more about reputation than truth. And right in the middle of it all, my mother handed me a stack of papers and demanded that I sign over my $2 million penthouse apartment as a wedding gift for my younger sister. When I said no, she slapped me so hard my earring flew across the marble floor. That was the moment everything changed. They thought I would cry. They thought I would apologize. They thought I would finally surrender like I always had before. Instead, I bent down, picked up my earring, and walked out. Then I made one phone call. 1 hour later, the person my mother had spent years calling confused and senile walked into that ballroom with a lawyer and proof of every lie. And my mother started screaming. But to understand how it all exploded that night, I need to take you back 3 years. Back to where everything really started. It was March 2021. I was sitting alone in my tiny studio apartment in Somerville eating leftover pad thai while reviewing kitchen renovation plans for one of my clients. My phone rang. Grandma Margaret. I smiled immediately. My grandmother had taught law at Harvard for over 30 years. She was brilliant, calm, and sharper than anyone I had ever known. She also never wasted words. Emma, she said softly, I need you to listen carefully. The serious tone in her voice made me sit up straight. I'm updating my will, she continued. And I'm leaving you the penthouse on Seaport Boulevard. I almost dropped my chopsticks. The penthouse? The apartment she had bought years earlier for almost $2 million? The apartment overlooking Boston Harbor? Grandma, why me? I asked quietly. Not because I didn't want it. I just honestly didn't understand. She was silent for a moment. Because you're the only one who shows up. That answer hit me harder than I expected. For 10 years, she continued, you visited me every Sunday. You bring tulips because you remember they're my favorite. You sit with me even when I have nothing interesting to say. You care about me when nobody is watching. My eyes filled with tears. Your mother sends Christmas cards, Grandma said. Your sister sends nothing at all. I didn't know what to say. The paperwork will be finalized next month, she added. Nathan Brooks is handling everything. Nathan was her attorney. Then her voice changed slightly. Your mother will not like this. That turned out to be the biggest understatement of my life. Within weeks, somehow, my family found out. To this day, I still don't know who leaked the information. But by April, my mother had already arranged what she called a family discussion at our Beacon Hill home. The second I walked into the living room, I knew it was a setup. My father sat in his leather chair. My mother sat on the couch. My younger sister Chloe sat beside her looking perfectly dressed like she was posing for a magazine photo. They had left one chair empty. Directly across from them. Like I was on trial. Emma, my mother said sweetly, we need to discuss your grandmother's condition. Condition. I already hated where this was going. She seems fine to me, I replied. My mother crossed her legs slowly. A rational woman doesn't leave a $2 million property to only one grandchild. She can leave her property to whoever she wants. Chloe sighed dramatically. This is so unfair, she whispered. I love Grandma too. I almost laughed. Chloe barely visited her. She was too busy shopping, vacationing, and planning yacht weekends with her rich fiancé. The fair thing, my father finally said in his calm lawyer voice, would be for you to decline the inheritance. Or sell the property and split the money with the family. I stared at him. This was the same father who missed my college graduation because of a golf tournament. The same father who barely knew anything about my life. And now he suddenly cared about fairness. No, I said. The room went cold. I'm not declining anything. Grandma made her choice. My mother's fake smile disappeared. Then be prepared for the consequences of your selfishness. And she meant it. By summer, I had quietly disappeared from the family. I got removed from group chats. Nobody invited me to events. I found out about Chloe's engagement party from Instagram. Everyone was there. Except me. When I asked my mother why I wasn't invited, she smiled lightly. We assumed you were too busy with your little decorating business. Little decorating business. I owned a successful interior design studio. I had 12 active clients. My business income had doubled that year. But to my mother, anything that wasn't law school or marrying rich meant nothing. The worst part wasn't being excluded. The worst part was the stories she told people. At parties. At charity events. At neighborhood gatherings. Emma manipulated her grandmother. She took advantage of an elderly woman. She pressured Margaret into changing the will. My mother made me sound like a thief. And I stayed quiet. I thought silence would protect me. I thought eventually things would calm down. I didn't realize silence was exactly what my mother wanted. Then something else changed. Late in 2021, Grandma Margaret moved into Brookhaven Senior Living, a luxury retirement community. At first she told me she just wanted peace and quiet. But every Sunday when I visited, I noticed something strange. Fear. Very small. Very controlled. But there. One afternoon I finally asked. Grandma, did something happen between you and Mom? She looked out the window for a long time. Some things are better left alone, she whispered. I should have pushed harder. I didn't. 3 years passed. Then came December 2023. 3 months before the wedding. I was working in my studio when an elegant cream-colored envelope arrived. Inside was Chloe's wedding invitation. Black tie. The Fairmont Copley Plaza. March 15, 2024. I stared at the invitation in shock. For 2 years they had treated me like I didn't exist. No holidays. No birthdays. Nothing. And suddenly I was invited to the wedding? My phone rang that same evening. My mother. Emma, darling, she said warmly. The sweetness in her voice felt fake immediately. This wedding is the perfect chance for our family to heal. I waited. Then came the real reason for the call. I've been thinking about the penthouse, she said carefully. Of course. Chloe and Andrew need a proper home after the wedding. Somewhere suitable for their future. I closed my eyes. The invitation wasn't peace. It was bait. Mom, the penthouse belongs to me. You could transfer it as a wedding gift, she continued smoothly. Imagine how generous that would look. The anger inside me rose instantly. Grandma wanted me to have it. Grandma would want family unity. No, I said firmly. You want that apartment. Her voice became cold. Think carefully before the wedding, Emma. Then she hung up. That night I sat alone in my studio thinking about what would happen if I refused publicly. My mother knew everyone. Judges. Lawyers. Powerful people. She could destroy my reputation. She could ruin business connections. She could make me look selfish in front of Boston's elite. Part of me wanted to skip the wedding completely. But another part of me refused. I had done nothing wrong. So I RSVP'd yes. 1 week before the wedding, Grandma called again. Her voice sounded urgent. If something happens at that wedding, she said, call Nathan Brooks immediately. She gave me his number. Grandma, what's going on? Your mother thinks I don't know what she's planning. My stomach tightened. I prepared everything, Grandma whispered. Nathan has the documents. What documents? But she ignored the question. If things go badly, call him. Then she paused. I love you, Emma. And she hung up. I saved Nathan's number. My hands were shaking. I didn't understand why. Not yet. Then the wedding day arrived. The Fairmont ballroom looked unreal. Crystal chandeliers. White orchids hanging everywhere. A live jazz band. Champagne flowing nonstop. Everything screamed old money. Everything screamed Catherine Bennett. I counted over 100 guests. Judges. Doctors. Lawyers. Rich Boston families. People my mother had spent decades trying to impress. I wore a navy blue dress. Elegant. Simple. Safe. I had spent hours choosing it because I knew my mother would judge everything. Too fancy? I'd be accused of showing off. Too plain? I'd embarrass the family. My father approached me near an ice sculpture. Glad you came, he said awkwardly. That was it. No hug. No warmth. Nothing. Then Chloe appeared. She looked perfect. Perfect makeup. Perfect hair. Perfect fake smile. Emma, you came, she said brightly. Of course, I answered. Then her expression shifted. Did you bring the paperwork? I blinked. What paperwork? The transfer documents for the penthouse. I stared at her. She really believed I would hand over my apartment. There are no transfer documents, I said. Her smile faded. But Mom said. I don't care what Mom said. I already told Andrew we'd move in after the honeymoon, Chloe snapped quietly. Then you shouldn't have done that. Her eyes filled with anger. You don't even need the penthouse. You live in a tiny apartment. Not anymore, I replied. The point is Grandma wanted me to have it. Chloe leaned closer. Mom's going to handle this. Then she walked away. A little later, one of my mother's rich friends stopped me. I heard you're taking care of your grandmother's property, she said politely. Taking care of it. Not owning it. I realized then what my mother had been telling people. That I was temporarily holding the apartment. That eventually it would return to the family. She had been preparing this moment for years. I escaped to the balcony for air. The cold March wind hit my face. Then my phone rang. Grandma Margaret. How bad is it? She asked immediately. I looked back through the ballroom windows. Pretty bad. Grandma sighed. Your mother has been planning something public. How do you know? Because I know Catherine. Then her voice changed. Emma, 6 months ago your friend Michael visited me. Michael Carter. A reporter for the Boston Globe. He found something strange involving a Cape Cod property that belonged to me. I frowned. What kind of strange? It was sold in 2020. So? I never sold it. The world seemed to stop. What? Your mother forged my signature. My hand tightened around the phone. Grandma explained everything. The forged paperwork. The forensic handwriting experts. The proof. The investigation. The reason she moved away. She had been afraid. Afraid of her own daughter. I hoped there was some explanation, Grandma whispered sadly. But there wasn't. I could barely breathe. My mother hadn't just manipulated people. She had stolen from her own mother. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. Because I needed proof first. Then her voice became stronger. If your mother corners you tonight, call Nathan. What happens then? I come. She hung up. I stood there staring at the city lights. Then I walked back inside. Dinner passed slowly. Toasts. Fake smiles. Polite laughter. I sat near the back hoping to stay invisible. But my mother had other plans. Suddenly she tapped a spoon against her champagne glass. The room became quiet. "I'd like to share a special family tradition," she announced into the microphone. My stomach dropped instantly. "Emma, sweetheart, come join us." Every head turned toward me. I wanted to disappear. But if I refused, she would make me look cruel. So I walked slowly to the front. My mother wrapped an arm around me. To everyone else it looked loving. To me it felt like a trap closing. "As many of you know," she announced, "our mother left Emma a beautiful penthouse apartment worth over $2 million. People murmured. Then she lifted a thick folder. "And tonight, as a wedding gift for her beloved sister, Emma has agreed to transfer the property to Chloe and Andrew." The room applauded. Actually applauded. Like this was some beautiful family moment. My heart pounded. "Mom," I said quietly, "I'm not signing anything." Her smile froze. "Don't be nervous, sweetheart." I said no. The applause died immediately. Silence flooded the ballroom. My mother's fingers dug into my shoulder. "Let's not embarrass ourselves." "You already are." Chloe rushed forward looking furious. "You're really doing this on my wedding day? You set this up without asking me." "Because we knew you'd be selfish," she snapped. The room gasped. "The apartment belongs to me," I said firmly. "Grandma gave it to me." "You don't deserve it." Chloe shouted. That did it. Years of humiliation exploded inside me. "You only care about Grandma when she has something you want." I fired back. Chloe's face twisted with rage. My mother stepped forward. "You ungrateful child," she hissed into the microphone. Every word echoed across the ballroom. "After everything this family has done for you." "You never supported me," I shot back. "You ignored me for years unless you needed something." Gasps spread across the room. I saw people staring. Whispering. My mother completely lost control. Her face turned red. Then suddenly. Slap. The sound cracked through the ballroom. My head snapped sideways. Pain exploded across my cheek. My silver earring flew across the marble floor. The entire room froze. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. I stood there shaking. Not from fear. From shock. Slowly, I bent down. I picked up the earring Grandma had given me. Straightened it. Put it back on. Then I looked directly at my mother. "That is the last time you ever touch me." My voice stayed calm. That shocked her more than anything. Then I walked away. Not crying. Not screaming. Just walking. Through the silent ballroom. Past the frozen guests. Out into the hotel lobby. Once I was alone, I took out my phone and called Nathan Brooks. "This is Emma Bennett," I said steadily. "Please tell my grandmother the documents are needed." "Understood," he replied immediately. "She'll be there within the hour." Then I sat down on a velvet bench and waited. Exactly 1 hour later, the hotel doors opened. And Grandma Margaret walked in. She was 78 years old. She used a cane now. But the second she entered that lobby, every bit of her old power returned. Beside her walked Nathan carrying a leather briefcase. When Grandma saw the red mark on my face, her eyes darkened. "She hit you?" I nodded. Her jaw tightened. Then she kissed my forehead. "Good," she whispered coldly. "Now we finish this." We walked back into the ballroom together. The wedding had turned into chaos. People were whispering everywhere. Chloe was crying. My mother was pacing angrily. Then someone noticed Grandma. The room slowly fell silent. My mother turned. And her face lost all color. "Mom," she whispered. Grandma walked calmly forward. "I wasn't invited," she announced loudly. "But I came anyway." Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Grandma faced the crowd. "My name is Margaret Bennett," she said clearly. I am fully aware of my decisions and completely sound of mind. She pointed toward me. The penthouse on Seaport Boulevard belongs to my granddaughter Emma because I chose to leave it to her. Nathan opened his briefcase and removed legal documents. This is the certified copy of Mrs. Bennett's will, he explained. My mother immediately panicked. Mom, you're confused, she snapped. Grandma ignored her. Then Nathan pulled out another file. These documents concern a Cape Cod property sold in 2020. I saw Andrew's father suddenly go pale. I did not sell that property, Grandma announced. The room became deadly quiet. I was recovering in the hospital during the time those papers were signed. Nathan calmly lifted another report. Forensic handwriting experts examined the signatures involved. Then he looked directly at my mother. The probability of forgery is 98.7%. The room exploded with whispers. People stared at my mother in horror. You're lying, she screamed. Grandma looked at her sadly. No, Catherine. I finally stopped protecting you. Then she dropped the final blow. The district attorney's office already has these documents. My mother stopped breathing for a second. Actually stopped. I watched terror spread across her face. Not embarrassment. Not anger. Terror. Forgery and fraud are serious crimes, Grandma continued quietly. My father finally spoke. I didn't know, he muttered weakly. My mother spun toward him. You signed the papers. I signed what you told me to sign, he shouted back. And just like that, their perfect marriage started collapsing in front of everyone. Chloe looked completely shattered. Mom, what is happening? She whispered. But my mother had no answers left. Everything she had built was falling apart. Her reputation. Her lies. Her control. Grandma turned toward me. I'm sorry it happened this way, she said softly. I squeezed her hand. It's okay. Then we walked toward the exit together. Behind us, my mother started screaming. Real screaming. Wild accusations. Denials. Panic. But I never looked back. Outside in the cold night air, Andrew suddenly ran after us. He looked nervous now. Desperate. Mrs. Bennett, he said carefully to Grandma, perhaps there's been some misunderstanding. There hasn't. Maybe we should discuss the penthouse privately. Grandma cut him off immediately. The penthouse belongs to Emma. Andrew swallowed hard. Chloe thought there might still be changes to the will after the wedding. Grandma gave him a cold smile. You married the wrong Bennett if you were hoping for money. His face turned red instantly. Nathan stepped forward. I suggest you return to the ballroom, he warned. Andrew left without another word. The next few weeks destroyed everything my mother had spent decades building. The district attorney questioned her for hours. Lawyers quietly stopped associating with her. Charity organizations removed her from events. The Boston Bar Association opened an ethics investigation. A small article appeared in the Boston Globe about a wealthy Boston attorney under investigation for fraud. No names were used. But everyone knew. My father moved into a hotel. Chloe postponed her honeymoon. And suddenly people who had ignored me for years started contacting me. Some apologized. Some pretended they had always believed me. Others wanted gossip. I ignored those. Then something surprising happened. One of the women from the wedding emailed me. Rebecca Collins. She admitted she had believed my mother's lies. Then she offered me a major interior design project for her law firm. It became the biggest contract of my career. Soon other clients followed. For the first time in years, people saw me for who I really was. Not Catherine Bennett's difficult daughter. Not the selfish sister. Just Emma. Months later, I sat on the balcony of my penthouse watching the sunset over Boston Harbor. Grandma sat beside me holding a glass of wine. The sky glowed orange and pink. Peaceful. Quiet. Safe. My father called, I told her. Grandma raised an eyebrow. He says he didn't know about the fraud. Do you believe him? I thought carefully. I think he chose not to know. Grandma nodded slowly. And Chloe texted me too. What did she want? She says she wants to talk. Grandma stayed silent. I looked out across the water. She knew Mom was hurting me, I whispered. Maybe she didn't know about the forgery, but she watched everything else happen. She never defended me. That matters, Grandma said softly. I'm not ready yet, I admitted. And that's okay. We sat quietly for a while. Then Grandma smiled. You've learned something important. What? That love without respect isn't really love. Those words stayed with me. I started therapy soon after. Every Tuesday I sat in a small office in Cambridge learning how to set boundaries. Learning that saying no didn't make me cruel. Learning that protecting myself wasn't selfish. And slowly, my life changed. I met someone too. An architect named Lucas. He had kind eyes and terrible direction skills. And for the first time in my life, someone liked me without caring about my family name. One evening Grandma looked around the penthouse and smiled. You know, she said, this apartment was never the real inheritance. What do you mean? The real inheritance is knowing your own worth. I felt tears rise in my eyes. She reached for my hand. I stayed silent too long with your mother. I kept the peace instead of telling the truth. I don't want that for you. I squeezed her hand tightly. I won't stay silent anymore. She smiled proudly. Good. This is my life now. A home that finally feels safe. A grandmother who truly loves me. A business that keeps growing. Boundaries that are strong. A future I built myself. Not through manipulation. Not through guilt. Not through fear. But through truth. If there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that protecting your peace is not selfish. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away from people who hurt you. And you are allowed to choose yourself. Even when family hates you for it. Especially then. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place?